And the news tonight, federal government pays 330 billion naira to 8.1 million households to cushion effects of economic reforms. Plus, Osun government flags off distribution of teaching and learning materials. While on the foreign scene, South Sudan first vice president faces charges of treason and other crimes. Good evening, and thanks for joining us on the major reports. I am Olubomi Achiboye Agbola. The federal government has disbursed a total of 330 billion naira to 8.1 million households across the country under the National Social Safety Net program aimed at cushioning the harsh effects of economic reforms on Nigeria's poorest and most vulnerable citizens. The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, disclosed this after a review meeting of the Special Presidential Panel on Social Investment inaugurated by President Bola Tinubu in February. Edun explained that the program, which experienced delays earlier in the year, is now firmly back on track following the successful integration of biometric data through the National Identification Number to ensure transparency, curbing leakages, and eliminating political interference. According to the minister, out of the 19.7 million households captured in the National Social Register, representing about 70% Nigerians, about 70 million Nigerians, 8.1 million households have already received at least one tranche of the 25,000 naira stipend, while some beneficiaries have received two or more three payments depending on verification outcomes. He noted that an additional 2.2 million households were paid in the last cycle after their bank verification numbers and NIN were successfully validated. Edun attributed earlier delays to the lag in NIN enrollment, but stressed that all outstanding payments will be concluded before the end of the year. In another development, the federal government has reintroduced Nigerian history as a compulsory subject in basic education curriculum to strengthen national identity, unity, patriotism, and responsible citizenship. The Federal Ministry of Education announced the introduction in a statement on its official X account, saying Nigerian pupils will study history continuously from Primary 1 to JSS 3, while SSS 1 to 3 students will take the new Civic and Heritage Studies, integrating history with civic education. According to the Ministry of Education, the reform is a priceless gift to the nation, reconnecting children with their roots while inspiring pride, unity, and commitments to national development. Meanwhile, the ministry has released the revised curriculum and will train teachers, provide resources, and strengthen monitoring. It will be recalled that the federal government launched a new curriculum known as the New Basic Education Curriculum for primary and junior secondary schools in 2007, and history was removed from primary and junior secondary schools curricula and implemented in the 2009 to 2010 academic session. According to the ministry, official reasons given for the removal then were, among others, that students shunned the subject. Only a few jobs were available for history graduates and dearth of history teachers. Meanwhile, Osun State government has flagged off the distribution of teaching and learning materials to pupils and students in public schools across the state, reaffirming its commitment to strengthening the delivery of quality education. The state governor, Senator Adeleke, who was represented by the secretary to the state government, noted that education remains a top priority of his administration, with consistent investment in raising learning standards across schools. He recorded that between 2022 and 2024, the government has paid counterpart funds of the Universal Basic Education Commission from 2019 to 2024, clearing arrears neglected by past administrations. Governor Adeleke added that over 400 classrooms in 139 schools were constructed and refurbished. A member representing Ede North, Ede South, Egbedore and Ejigbo Federal Constituency at the lower chamber of the National Assembly, Honorable Bamidele Salam, has pledged his commitment to the continued support for women's economic liberation and the delivery of dividends of democracy to his constituents. Honorable Salam made the pledge during the annual general meeting of Ajoje Microcredit Scheme and the presentation of essential support tools to artisans through the support of the Advertising Regulatory Council of Nigeria. Oluchi Hamuda reports.
The 3-day empowerment and project commissioning packed activities organized by the lawmaker representing Ede North, Ede South, Egbedore, and Ejigbo Federal Constituency in the House of Representatives, Honorable Bamidele Salam, for the celebration of the 2nd anniversary of the 10th National Assembly rounded up with the annual general meeting of Ajoje Microcredit Scheme held at Awo, headquarters of Egbedore local government area of Osun State. The event, which brought together dignitaries from all walks of life, including royal fathers, market women, the leadership and members of the People's Democratic Party in the constituency, also featured the presentation of essential tools to support women and artisans in the 4 local government areas that made up the constituencies, sponsored by the Advertising Regulatory Council of Nigeria and facilitated by Honorable Bamidele Salam. In his remarks, Honorable Salam pledged his continued support to the uplift of women and youth, just as he commended the commitment and dedication of the members of the Ajoje Microcredit Scheme. The lawmaker, who sought the continued support of the people for Governor Ademola Adeleke, admonished all eligible voters who are yet to get their permanent voters card to take advantage of the ongoing voters registration exercise to get their PVCs for the continuation of good governance in Osun State.
There are micro grants, 100,000, 70,000, 50,000 and so on, but they mean a lot to our women in the rural areas, our petty traders, artisans, and persons who need money for some emergency use. We started with 1.5 million naira in the Ejigbo local government, and I can report that today we have reached 40 million naira capital base. If we talk about turnover, it's over 100 million naira turnover. And so today is the annual general meeting, and also an avenue to celebrate these women, to appreciate them for keeping faith with the vision.
Earlier in his address of welcome, the chairman of the organizing committee and majority leader in the State House of Assembly, Honorable Koforola Babajide, encouraged the beneficiaries to make effective use of the grants and the tools given to them to improve their standard of living, adding that the PDP will continue to implement transformative policies that will improve the living conditions of the people. The program provided an avenue for the coordinators of the Ajoje Microcredit Scheme to give account of their stewardship and the interest-free loans given to members through the scheme. One of the coordinators, Mrs. Omolade Adiamo, who spoke with OSBC News, expressed gratitude to Honorable Bamidele Salam for empowering the people and making life more meaningful for them through his numerous empowerment programs. The event climaxed with the presentation of checks of 2 million naira grants to market women in each of the 4 local government areas that made up the federal constituency, the distribution of 50 bags of rice to each local government, distribution of essential tools such as deep freezers, industrial sewing machines, grinder machines, power generators, among others, to artisans. Meanwhile, Honorable Bamidele Salam, through the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons, had earlier presented relief materials to disaster victims in Ede North, Ede South, Egbedore and Ejigbo Federal Constituency of Osun State. Oluchi Amuda, OSBC News.
The Rivers State House of Assembly has resumed plenary session after a 6-month state of emergency imposed on the state by President Bola Tinubu elapsed today. The plenary was presided by the Speaker of the House, Martins Amawile, at the conference hall located within the legislative quarters in Port Harcourt, the state capital. The conference hall has served as the lawmakers' temporary chamber since their official chamber at the Assembly Complex on Moscow Road was touched and later pulled down by the state government. It will be recalled that President Tinubu declared emergency rule on the 18th of March this year in the oil-rich state as a result of prolonged political crisis arising from the rift between Governor Siminalayi Fubara and the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike. As the democratically elected politicians resumed office in Rivers State today, after the 6-month suspension placed on the government by President Bola Tinubu, the state governor, Mr. Simi Fubara, has been admonished to always allow the interest of the people to be his watchword. The former member of the Osun State House of Assembly, Honorable Israel Oyekule, gave the admonition while reacting to the expiration of the emergency rule in Rivers State. He expressed optimism that within time, Nigeria's democracy will be more strengthened to withstand all forms of challenges.
I'm not surprised about the emergency rule. It's because of our democracy is just growing. From what we were able to see, the emergency rule is not in the constitution. But if the military has not been intervening in the democracy of this country, we will have passed through this stage. I knew that as time goes on, this type of thing will not happen again. You guys will have grown politically beyond that level. My advice to him is that he should try as much as possible to do the will of the people, not the will of an individual. He should listen to the voice of the masses. That's the most important thing.
And social welfare Professor Muhammad Pate has said that the future of Nigeria's healthcare system depends on specialists in the sector. Professor Pate, who was represented by Dr. Jimos Laude, made the remark at the 43rd convocation ceremony of the National Postgraduate Medical College of Nigeria. The minister described the event as both a celebration of academic excellence and reaffirmation of NCN's crucial role in national healthcare delivery. He said the graduates formed the backbone of specialist healthcare services across Nigeria's geopolitical zones. Professor Pate explained that the ministry, under the Renewed Hope agenda, will strengthen collaboration with NPMCN to ensure a resilient, responsive, and people-centered health system. He said the government is considering special funding to fast-track specialist training and reduce brain drain, with other measures include access to technology funds, support for endowment fundraising, simulation equipment, capacity building, expanded residency training, and nationwide spread of college activities. The minister urged graduates to let their expertise and compassion serve humanity within and beyond the country's shores. The Nigerian Air Force's air interdictions by the air component of Operation Hardin Kai have killed scores of terrorists and destroyed an insurgent enclave in Borno State. This is contained in a statement by the Director, Public Relations and Information, NAF, Air Commodore Ehime Ejodame in Abuja. Ejodame said the strikes were conducted in Bula, Madabile, Gezuwa general area of the state, adding that intelligence and surveillance confirmed unusual movements at the location where about 45 terrorists were observed converging, some arriving on motorcycles and bicycles from different directions. According to him, reconnaissance also revealed 2 terrorist flags hoisted at the site, underscoring its use as a stronghold and rallying point for insurgents. Edojame also said that the strikes denied the terrorists freedom to regroup, reinforce, or mount further attacks on communities in the northeast, assuring that the armed forces remained committed to restoring peace and stability across the region. At least 6 additional deaths have been confirmed following the fire outbreak at Afidland Towers, a 6-story commercial building on Broad Street, Lagos Island, Lagos State. According to reports, the victims were employees of a financial and investment services firm occupying the 3rd and 4th floors of the tower. Reports added that the Federal Inland Revenue Service announced that 4 of its staff members also died in the incident. The fire, which reportedly started in the inverter room in the basement on Tuesday afternoon, sent thick smoke into the air and triggered panic among occupants, while some individuals were seen attempting to escape through windows as emergency responders battled the flames. Officials of the Federal Fire Service, Lagos State Fire and Rescue Service, and other first responders rescued at least 9 persons from the building, while 5 were revived and 4 remained unconscious. You are welcome to the sports segment. Udodi Nwuzurike has kept Nigeria's hopes alive at the Tokyo 2025 World Championships after qualifying for the men's 200 meters semi-finals. Rahman Abubakar has details of the sports story and some others.
The 22-year-old Nigerian second fastest ever man over the distance this year produced a composed run in heat 3, finishing second behind Olympic medalist Kenneth Bedenik of the United States. Bedenik took first place in 19.98 seconds, while Onuzurike crossed the line in 20.27 seconds. South Africa's Sinepo Dambili also progressed after clocking the semi-final stage for the first time in his career. He delivered on that target, holding his form well off the bend and keeping Bedenik in his sights through the final 100 meters. His reaction time of 0.135 seconds was the sharpest in the field, giving him the platform to hold off late charges from Dembele and Switzerland's William Reis, who recorded a season best of 20.38 seconds but fell short of qualification. The former NCAA and World Under-20 champion, who boasts a personal best of 19.76 seconds and a season best of 20.17 seconds, will line up in Thursday's semi-final against some of the event's biggest names. Drawn in lane 5, he will face defending world champion Noah Lyles of the United States, who has already run 19.63 seconds this year and is chasing a 4th consecutive title. In another development, Spain has returned to the summit of the FIFA World Ranking for the first time in over a decade, dislodging Argentina after a strong run in the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers. The updated rankings released on FIFA's official X handle on Thursday marked Spain's first time at the top since 2014. Argentina, which had led the standings since April 2023, dropped to 3rd place, with France moving up to 2nd. Portugal, Croatia and Italy recorded slight gains, now occupying 5th, 9th and 10th positions respectively. Brazil slipped to 6th following a poor run of form, while Germany fell to 12th after a shock defeat to Slovakia in their qualifiers, pushing them outside the top 10 for the first time since October 2024. Slovakia proved the biggest movers, climbing 10 places to 42nd after consecutive qualifying wins, including their upset victory against Germany. Morocco remained just outside the top 10 after securing 8 wins in their last 9 matches, while other notable risers include the Gambia, Madagascar, Paraguay, Uganda, Libya, Suriname, and the Faroe Islands, each improving by at least 5 places. Co-host of the 2026 World Cup, Canada moved up to 2 spots to 26th, while Kosovo achieved a historic milestone by climbing 4 places to 91st. The latest rankings highlight the shifting balance of the power in world football as nations gear up for upcoming qualifiers and tournaments. Rahama Abubakar reporting for OSBC News.
Moving on to the foreign scene, South Sudan's first Vice President Riek Machar is facing charges of treason and other serious crimes. Local justice has fears grows that the East African country could edge towards a return to civil war. Abdul Jalil at DBC has more.
Machar has been under house arrest since March after the transition government has accused him of subversive activities against President Salva Kiir, who said that he was suspending Machar as his deputy because of the criminal allegations. In addition to treason, Machar and 7 others face charges of murder, conspiracy, terrorism, destruction of public property, military assets, and crimes against humanity. Meanwhile, the United Nations body for human rights in South Sudan has called the government charges of treason against opposition leader Riek Machar reckless. It was linked that pro-government troops have been fighting militias and other armed groups that they say are loyal to Machar, who has served as his country's number 2 under the terms of a dedicated peace deal signed in 2018. Ghana will receive another 40 West Africans reported from the United States in the coming days, Foreign Minister Samuel Okuretu Ablawa said after the government revealed that a deal had been struck with Washington. Deporting people to third countries instead of their home nations has been a hallmark of U.S. President Donald Trump's crackdown on undocumented immigrations, notably by sending hundreds to a notorious prison in El Salvador. Ghana President John Mahama has announced that 14 deportees from the region had been sent to the country, sparking questions over their current whereabouts and pushback from the political opposition. He said deportees who are vetted before arrival will be allowed to remain in Ghana temporarily per regional visa-free travel rules or return to their home countries. The Ghanaian government previously said that many of the deported West Africans had already returned to their home country through lawyers in the United Nations. In the United States, say at least some of them are being held in military detention in Ghana in cruel conditions. The United Nations World Meteorological Organization has said that the global water cycle is becoming ever more unpredictable, with shrinking glacier drought, unbalanced river basins, and severe floods wreaking havoc. It warned that climate change is making the Earth's water cycle increasingly erratic, resulting in extreme savings between deluge and drought across the world. It stated that Pakistan is the latest country to be devastated by flood this year. The international group of scientists assess fresh water available and water storage across the world, including lakes, river flow, groundwater, soil moisture, snow cover, and ice melt. Abdul Jalil at DBC OSBC News.
And that ends the major reports on OSBC TV. It was edited by Abdul Jalil at DBC. I am Olubumi Ajiboye Agola, thanking you for being there as always. Good night.